The personalities that matter with Keith Vaz on Talking Points.
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio. My special guest this morning can be described as a Renaissance woman, even though we're in the 21st century. Everything that she has touched in her life has demonstrated her excellence. A double first-class honours scholar from universities in Mumbai and Karnataka, she turned to journalism, becoming an editor for the Times of India group, leading on education issues, creating the first ever education supplement in the country. She then became a senior reporter for The Times. She's worked for a number of other newspapers, including the Bombay Magazine, The Daily and Stardust. In between, she's won numerous awards and has undertaken many projects both in India and internationally. She now chairs an important NGO that exists to empower women and to educate them and to give them the skills, something that she is very passionate about. She joins me this morning from New Delhi. Good morning, Uma Prabhu.
Good morning.
Now, Uma, your education, which you clearly excelled at, did not point to a future as a distinguished journalist. What made you study initially human resources?
See, I hail from Goa, and post 12th standard, there were only three things. Either you became a doctor, engineer, or a pharmacist, or else you did your graduation you did your BSc, Bachelor of Science. I didn't do very well at my 12th standard, so becoming a doctor or any one of these careers, taking up any one of these careers was not my choice. So I did my graduation in botany zoology. But that was not my calling, because I had a streak of adventure in me, and after BSc I would do MSc or PhD and end up as a teacher or, work for government of Goa or, the municipal corporation doing 9-to-5 job. That was not my calling. And I had heard about this journalism course, going and reporting wars, although I didn't cover a war, but I've covered everything, bomb blasts, I've covered riots, plague. That was very exciting, and that was the reason I took journalism. Only because of the adventure in it. Human resource, after I spent a certain time in journalism, reporting, etc., I was managing a team. And for that, along with my journalist skills, what was important is managing people also. That's why the human resources.
We'll come on to human resources again, but you did dabble a bit in sciences at Karnataka University. You did quite a U-turn, didn't you?
I did my BSc, that was before I took up. Journalism was a postgraduate degree. I dabbled in sciences at my graduation level, and as I told you, I didn't want to do MSc and PhD, so I took up journalism.
Uma Prabhu, tell us a little bit about your family life and your early life with your parents and your siblings. As you say, you hail from Goa,
yes.
So we're kind of related in a very, very odd way over the centuries, not directly, I have to say. Tell us about your early life there.
I love my Goa. So my father was a doctor. He was a doctor in the Portuguese time, and he had this degree called Médico Cirurgião. And he was a very accomplished doctor. But the best part about it, his name was Dr. Saulo Ramchandra Keni. But he never charged his patients. He took whatever his patients gave him, So for him, medical was a service. It was not a profession. So he was a very accomplished doctor in Goa. Also, he was vice president of the Goa Kala Academy and the chief minister was the president of it. My mom was a housewife, but she used to do a lot of programs on All India Radio. She was also a freedom fighter at her time. So although she was a housewife and educated up to 12th standard, she was an accomplished as a writer, speaker. We are 5 sisters. Unfortunately, I lost one sister to cancer some 20 years ago. But all of us are very well educated. One of my sister, who is right now who's in Goa, she's a senior counsel with the High Court. Another sister, my youngest sister, she owns a school. One sister is a yoga teacher. I am a journalist. So education was right. Our parents, because we were girls, how it is when you are girls. And most of the times you are treated differently. But my parents never did that. They brought us up like they would bring up any other child, and educated us very well and prepared us to take up the challenges of life.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio. I'm talking to Uma Prabhu, our Renaissance woman, journalist and NGO chair from New Delhi. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about her career in journalism. Join us after the break.
Keith Vaz on Talking Points. Leica.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio, talking to Uma Prabhu, who's joining us this morning from New Delhi in India. She's talking to us about her fascinating life. Uma, you decided to go into journalism. You told us some of the reasons why, because it was exciting. But tell us again, because when you started in your career in journalism, you didn't know that you'd be taken off to cover riots and bombs and all this kind of stuff, did you?
Well, I had a fair idea of what it was a conscious decision because, as I told you, I didn't want to do the run-of-the-mill things. I wanted to take the off-the-beaten track and I wanted to do something different. Journalism offered me that, and when I did the course, I did a postgraduate course at Pune University. The kind of experiences I had over there, I changed as a human being also, reading all that literature. And when I actually became a journalist, I just enjoyed my time on the streets, my legwork, my meeting people. You tell me I have done everything that a journalist would do. Of course, my only regret is I have not covered a war. But it was the excitement of meeting people. It was the excitement of doing investigative journalism. It was the excitement of unraveling things. Like I was not the kind of a journalist who covered things, but who uncovered things. So that was the excitement. And I had ink in my blood, which you rightly said. I didn't know that earlier, but I discovered it later as I started writing, that this is my medium of expression, writing.
You first started to write about education, becoming the education editor of one of the most famous newspapers in the world, the Times of India. Why did you choose that particular subject, or did the managing partner or the editor choose you to do that? Which was it, and why education?
So it wasn't by choice, because when I got into journalism, I have done crime, I have done high court, I have done politics, I have done health, and all my stories were investigative stories. However, I should be very frank with you, I am true to my profession and I didn't want any compromises. So when my husband got into politics, covering politics would have been an issue. So that is when I thought I should go, and while I can't leave my career because it's my bread and butter, it's close to my heart. So that was out of question. But then if I did something which was, complementary to both of us, by complementary, I mean I could do what I wanted to do, and it was not a nuisance to my husband also.
Uma Prabhu, you took over the running of the supplement that had just been created by the Times of India for education, and you took it to a new level. How did you manage to do that?
I took it to a different height. During my time, it really greater heights. But it was already there with Times of India. It was a niche publication, but it catered to a vast majority of students not only in India. It was being published from 15 centers, almost 15 centers in India. And it gave the kind of content was to help enable students to make decisions regarding their careers. So it gave information about courses, it gave information about different careers, scholarships, everything in a nutshell, so that they were able to make a proper decision as to what course they should follow in their life. So while I didn't start it was already there with Times of India, I definitely took it to a greater height.
After the Times, you went to work on a number of other newspapers, the Daily, the Bombay Magazine and Stardust, very, very well-known newspapers and publications, which we read in the United Kingdom. It's quite a variety. Which did you enjoy the most, apart from your role at the Times?
I joined Stardust because that was my very first job. I got an offer and started working. But that was mainly to do with film industry, stars. Initially, you do enjoy the attention, you do enjoy meeting the stars, etc. But after a point of time, you realize that that's not, from my point of view, that may be journalism, but from my point of view, it was not real journalism. So I joined the Daily, Rishi Karanjia, the Daily, the Bits Group at half my salary because I wanted to do news. You see? And then it was a problem because the next thing was Bombay Magazine, which was one of the top magazines in Mumbai at that time, which belonged to the India Today group. It is here that writing news is different from writing a feature. So it is here that I learned how to write a feature, how to go deep into a subject. Because for news, there is a life. I have to give today's news today. I can't give it tomorrow. But in a future I have a lot of latitude. I can express myself, my views. In news, I can't give my views. I have to be a witness. I have to report things as they are. But in the future, I have that latitude, So I had an opportunity to write on different subjects here, right from meeting people and writing detailed profiles of people to writing detailed news analysis. There were a lot of things happening in India around that time, the 19 Commission, a lot of things, and I could express my views freely and frankly and the way I wanted to. So that is what Bombay gave me. But if you ask me, my stint in Times of India is the one which I have enjoyed the most, because as I told you, it is here that I flourished as a journalist. Not only my writing, my investigation skills, how to understand the other person's point of view. Today it's very easy for me to just write a sentence and try and hurt somebody just because I'm a journalist. That's what sometimes happens. But in Times of India, when I was meeting people at very close quarters, I understood what the other person's viewpoint is. That the other person's point of view also is very important.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio. I'm talking to Uma Prabhu, the Renaissance woman who is a former journalist, but also the chairperson of an important NGO in New Delhi. Join us after the break.
Keith Vaz on Talking Points, Leica.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. I'm talking to the Renaissance woman, Uma Prabhu, from New Delhi in India. Uma, before we leave newspapers, the development of social media and online content means that the great newspapers like the Times actually are suffering in terms of readership. Do you think newspapers have a future in terms of the physical things that we read as opposed to what we might read on the telephone?
So everything change is the only permanent thing, and everything changes. So social media and online content are definitely going to impact the newspapers. But empire like Times of India, which has some 200 odd years history, will not be impacted so soon. And they also have started online operations. So I don't think it is going to, impact them in immediate future. But yes, eventually that will be the course of action for them also.
Uma Prabhu, you've done a great deal of travelling in support of your various projects. In particular, you went over to Canada to act as the representative of India for a particular project. Why is that work important to you?
Oh, it was very important because it was very necessary that what we do over here has to be exhibited elsewhere, especially in international areas. The kind of work that we do here, there is a lot of learning that happens when you interact with people from abroad, also within India, because then you know how to do your things better. And there is a question-answer session. You meet many people, you understand their point of view, and then you apply that. So that is the reason I think travel has tremendously helped me in all my projects.
You practice and encourage the practice of yoga and meditation. Is this because you live such a busy and complicated life with so many things to do that yoga and meditation actually is your only bit of peace? Or do you get your energy from this kind of activity?
In fact, yoga and meditation give you a lot of energy to do different things. Because with yoga, it's a scientific process. I would call it a process because it does not only have a physical aspect, but it calms down your mind. It helps you to focus your mind. And meditation is the next step. When you do meditation, so basically I have always intrigued about the mysteries of life and death and life after life, whether there is, what is it? And meditation I think has helped me in connecting with myself, my innermost self, in connecting with nature, in connecting with, the kind of questions, in finding answers to the kind of questions that I have. I'm not claiming that I find answers to all my questions, but the search is on.
Now, you're married, as you said earlier on, to a politician. How difficult a challenge has it been to keep a separate identity to your husband's?
Fortunately, my husband has been very cooperative and he has always encouraged me to do my career, especially journalism. A, because he knows how close that is to my heart. B, he respects me as a woman. He respects me as an individual. And he is very happy that I'm doing my career. Yes, being a politician's wife, it's definitely a challenge because it's not about your own husband. I mean, people's way of looking at you is different, But you have to find challenges are always that the crux is to find the solution for these challenges. So I have never let all these things impact me at all, I was always focused on my career. That's all. And these are two different lives. My personal life is different from my professional life. And I have to be able to find that balance. Yoga and meditation help me in finding that balance.
This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Like Radio. I'm talking to the Renaissance woman and chair of an important NGO in New Delhi, Uma Prabhu. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about women's empowerment and indeed how Delhi has coped with the pandemic. Join us after the break.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity. Leica, London.
Welcome back to the final segment in my interview, my fascinating interview with Uma Prabhu, Renaissance woman from India, chair of a very important NGO. Before we get on to the work that you do in the empowerment of women, Uma Prabhu, tell us how Delhi has coped with the pandemic. We know that it's been a tough challenge for the Indian government. What's life like now?
So during the pandemic, it was a huge challenge, not only for everyone, like closeted in your houses, one didn't know what to do. But that also helped me to, I'm talking about myself. Of course, the government did its bit, and you must have been reading the news, etc. So it was first of its kind. This has never happened before. So they were trying to sort things out the way they could. But as a person, when I was sitting at home, I connected with nature. I could see bees, flowers, peacocks coming back, on the road. So probably it is we who are the virus, not COVID. It was we human who are the virus and had eliminated all these things. So the nature was back. There was a lot of humanity that was during the migrant worker crisis. I could see the entire society going on the borders with food, water, giving all these things to those workers stranded there, hungry. And it was very touching because, they were not beggars. They were laborers, dignified laborers. And for them to take food, etc. So that was another facet of human life, what you see. From the family front, we came very close because my husband was always traveling. So we stayed together and my son joined us. So in a way, it was a mixed bag for us. Luckily, we did not have, till now, we didn't have the disease, and I hope it will not happen.
Now, one of the most important things you've done in your life and something you care about very deeply is the fact that you're the chair of the Manav Sadhan Vikas Sanstha, an NGO dedicated to holistic human development in the Konkan area on the west coast of Maharashtra. What is the main thrust of the work and why do you enjoy that so much and feel it's so important?
When this NGO started, Manav Sadhan Vikas Sanstha started 25 years ago in Konkan area by my husband Suresh Prabhu, and now the last 8 years I am the chair of it. So the main work is we work towards a holistic human development. We are into skill development, education. We are into women empowerment. We are into agriculture. We form self-help groups of farmers, among other things, And also we run we have environmental work, which like we are forming eco clubs, computerization, those kind of things we do. We run a nursing college because that is one profession which gives immediate jobs, and now with the pandemic the health workers are also so much in demand. So we have trained over 1 lakh people in the last 25 years of our existence, and we are now going towards other areas also. Like Bombay, we have an entrepreneurship development institute, which is where we give skills to people also, and make them entrepreneurs, make them entrepreneurs.
Now, you're the champion for the empowerment of women. Are you a little disappointed that India has not produced other internationally renowned politicians, women politicians, apart from Indira Gandhi, as one of the first countries ever to have a woman prime minister? Everyone in the world was very impressed, but do you think that equality has come to India yet, or is there still a lot of work to be done?
So I'll be very frank with you. India has produced several, empowered women who have made impact internationally. But I'm very disappointed that woman, which is there in rural areas, which is, down the hierarchy, she is the one who is not empowered. She's not finally what is freedom. She is the one who is the early member of the society, because sometimes the husbands drink and, they don't do anything. But she has no control over her finances, the money that she earns herself. She has no right to spend that money. running, and that is what is very, very disappointing, and we are working towards it. So that is a mindset, because that comes through generations. You have been conditioned to believe that you are something inferior. We are backing that mindset. So I hope someday I can proudly say that woman on the street also has come of age now.
Finally, Uma, Prabhu, it's been a fascinating conversation with you, but we always ask our special guests to choose a song that means something special to them and to dedicate it to those who are special. Which song would you like to choose, and who would you like to dedicate it to?
I'm dedicating this song that I'm going to tell you to people of India. That's that is something which has really touched my heart. This is what Mahatma Gandhi used to say. Vaishnava Jana Ko Tene Kahi Veer Parai Jani Re. This is the song. Brahmin or whatever, there is no caste system. Somebody who cares for the downtrodden is the real Brahmin. That is what it says. It talks of equality, it talks of social justice, and it talks of respect to everyone, all religions and all communities.
Let's hear Uma Prabhu's song. Thank you for joining us on Talking Points on Laika Radio this morning. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday in New Delhi.
Thank you so much, Kit. I truly enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for choosing me for this program. Thank you so much.
वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे कोई पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नारे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे सकल लोक मां सहुने वंदे सकल लोक मां सहुने वंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे सकल लोक मां सहुने वंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे वाच का